don't really have the intro music, but hey, welcome everyone to the AMA. It's your boy Ked Hupp, because I'm not Al, because Al's having tech gremlins. But we have the AMA with Monte Cook here, with Spigs18 doing the other questioning, and I think it's gonna be some good times for the big entrance and beginning for CypherCon 25. There you go, guys. Take it away.
Hey Monty, welcome everyone to the first day of CypherCon. We couldn't have a better start to our con than having our special guest here today to answer all your questions, or at least as many as we could fit within the next hour. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Monte Cook of Monte Cook Games. He was gracious enough to give us some of his precious time to answer your questions. And about 2 weeks ago, we posted this AMA on our Discord, Monte. We had over 100 people submit questions. I kind of narrowed it down to like 20 to 25. We'll see as many as we could get. So first off, Monte, welcome to the CU again.
Yeah, thanks.
You quickly catching up to Sean and Charles. They're going to be a little upset.
Yeah, well, bring it on.
Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that Cypher is currently on back a kit now. There's 8 days left. They have over 700,000, almost 700,000, over 8,300 backers. And, you know, not only are you getting the 2 core Cypher books, right? You're getting an updated bestiary, you're getting a GM screen, 2 new decks, a brand new Strange book, which is freaking awesome, and possibly a brand new Predation book, which I'm pretty positive we're gonna get there. But I want to see what stretch goals you have going after that. So, so go check out the backer kit, and also our games start live tomorrow for CypherCon. The gift bags will be open today, probably after this AMA, and the raffles start tomorrow. MCG were fantastic. Thank you so much, Monty, for the sponsorship. But they gave us a ton of really cool, or I could talk about it now, but autographed deluxe edition books. So we autograph. We're giving away 2 autographed deluxe edition books every day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, plus $100 gift cards. So get in the raffle if you can, and you don't have to participate in the games to be in the raffle. Right. Now that I got all the logistics out the way, Monty, we got a ton of questions for you. And the first question, we're gonna go straight right into it because I know your time is limited. The first question I'm gonna give you came from some guy named Spigs18. I don't know who he is. Whoever he is, he has to be a handsome devil. But my question was, if you could create a Mount Rushmore of designers, Monty, who would be on it?
Wow. That's a weird one. So I guess I got to ask questions. Like, we're talking about just role-playing?
Yeah. Now we're down game designers, role-playing game designers.
Right.
And the reason why I asked it is because in our videos, we've done you've always been on my Mount Rushmore. So I wanted to ask someone that's on my Mount Rushmore.
Well, you gotta give it up to Gary and Dave, right? You can't have a Mount Rushmore without the guys who basically spearheaded the whole hobby, created a whole new kind of game. It's pretty amazing. One of the people that I learned a lot from and really, really respect as a game designer is Jonathan Tweet. I worked with him on D&D 3rd edition. And then, there's so many great creative people out there. It's hard to just kind of narrow it down. Yeah, I want to come back to that.
I mean, that's a good starting 3 for for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the tough question out of the way.
You probably didn't think that was going to be the tough question, but it is for me.
Yeah, especially when like I didn't even think about it from your perspective because you had a lot of mentors in this business and you worked with a lot of great designers. It's hard to pick between them.
It is really hard. Yeah. For sure.
Elaine K. Barnes asks, what does it look like when you need to recharge your creative batteries? And do you have a tried and true old reliables, or do you seek out new outlets?
Well, I guess I seek out new outlets because my creativity is spurred on by other people's creativity, and so I've got to find new things all the time. I can't. I guess there are a few old reliables that I can go back to and find new things about. Like Grant Morrison's comic book work, especially his series The Invisibles from, I don't know, whatever that was, 25 years ago. Still, Doom Patrol, still find great creative inspiration there. But mostly it's new stuff and or at least new to me. I've started reading the culture books by Ian Banks, it isn't new stuff. I think he started writing that stuff back in the late 80s, but it's new to me. I haven't read it. That's full of really cool sci-fi, really cool sci-fi ideas. I just speaking of comics, I been looking at Marjorie Liu's Monstrous. Just came out with a new volume. I read it in the collected volumes and love that series. It's really imaginative. Yeah.
Oh, so it seems like you pull it from a ton of places.
Yeah, for sure. Always looking for more.
Mateo T asks, how will power shifts change in the new Cipher? And can you give us examples of how resilience, healing, or intellect will be rewritten? That's a pretty direct question.
Yeah, those are kind of big questions. So power shifts, the idea of power shifts for supers in Cipher is going to work the same, but we're doing something different in that we've created superhero types, which didn't obviously really exist before. So just like if you've seen the videos or read the stuff, we're creating for fantasy, we're creating the mage type and the warrior type and all that stuff. So what we did with supers is we scaled it. So basically, you kind of pick the power level that of hero that you want to be, and then that gives you a different type, and then that type will tell you how many power shifts you get, and other stuff too. Yeah, it's really much easier to okay, so we're all gonna play, Daredevil and Black Widow and people of that level. Oh no, we're all gonna play, Superman and Thor and those people at that level. It's easy to kind of judge that and balance it a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually. I know Dean would really love that idea. I mean, that's actually a great way of handling it. Mike M asks, has a moment in playtesting ever convinced you to take a game mechanic in a wildly different direction?
Yes, for sure. For Cipher, we've really futzed around a lot with how armor works, and how it reduces the wounds that you take and what you have to do, and it was through many iterations of development, and it was all due to play testing and nothing quite feeling quite right, wanting to feel like what it really means to be wearing armor, and then on top of that what it really means to have a shield if you're doing armor and shield kind of thing. And so, yeah, that's just one example of tons of examples. Yeah, playtesting is just super valuable.
Yeah, I would definitely imagine so. We have so many questions here. I want to, not upset people on the Discord. I will try to get as many in as I can.
I will try to be brief.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't mean it in that way. I meant it as in. I was noticing some people in chat wanted to submit questions. So,
okay.
Joel F asks, in the new wound system, how would attacks be used to specifically target intellect or speed work, if at all?
Yeah, well, so they work just like they always have. You still, you run into the mind devourer monster or whatever, and it's still going to be doing intellect damage. The difference is that now we've got a conversion system of, like, once you're out of intellect, then what happens? Well, then it starts affecting you physically, and then you start taking wounds, which is really not that different than how it used to work, right? Because once you ran out of intellect, you came off of some other stat. So,
oh yeah, that's actually great to hear too. And actually, I think that's the first time we've actually heard that as well, which is going to drive the chat.
Oh yeah, poisons are still going to drain your speed pool, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's all still the same.
Yep, chat is saying, "Oh no, new info," because any bit of information you guys put out is 2 days of conversation on the server. Awesome. Even the littlest thing. Ken Hub asks, as many of us know, designer a mixture of new inventions, but also a heavy amount of innovation through iteration. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Of course, Ken Hub is going to write me a Bible here, as we build upon the works of others. That being said, what are some inspirations, either RPGs, board games, video games, media, that has been a great source for you of inspiration, not just on settings or worlds, but rather on system mechanics and design?
Again, if I'm going to answer this like big picture, like throughout my career, I can, like, the first one that always comes to mind is Call of Cthulhu, and the way Call of Cthulhu handled sanity and making sanity into a stat and making it, kind of have its own little death spiral built into it. I remember so distinctly, when I kind of grokked the idea that, the more you learn, right, the more Cthulhu Mythos you have, the lower your max sanity goes. And it just seems so brilliant, a brilliant way of meshing game mechanics and setting stuff. And I think that's what I'm kind of getting at here, is that inspiration of how to make those two things work, right? You're not just, trying to come up with a rule that's fun, not just trying to come up with a rule that feels realistic, but actually is interacting with the world. Like, all of those things are important, and I don't think I realized it until I started playing Call of Cthulhu. That's just one example.
Random question: what was the first RPG you ever played?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
little booklets back in the 70s.
Oh,
I'm
nice. Definite Single asks, Numenera has such an expansive map. What location could be a town, region, or anything else is your favorite?
Oh wow. My favorite, yeah, you guys are asking tough ones. there's just so many to choose from. I guess, I'm going to choose the City of QI, just because there's a lot going on, and I think it's really interesting, and it blends old and new in a really interesting way, I think, in that like there's still a lot of stuff of the Numenera, of the prior worlds there that still works, right? Like the weird guardian automaton creatures and stuff. Yeah, I'll choose that. But ask me tomorrow, I'll probably choose something else.
Thomas T asks, does the creation of the new Cipher will have any effect on Numenera going forward?
I'm going to say that the answer to that question will be revealed in about a week and a half.
Oh, that is definitely that. I like those kind of answers because it gets the speculation train going. Desert Single also asks, what do you consider the most important skills or abilities for a Cipher GM? And are they different qualities for GMs of other systems?
Probably. I feel like every running, like I hear from people who are just like, well, when I run games, I always do X and Y, and and that's fine. But I really do think that running, one game can be very different than running another game. Like right now, I'm running an ongoing Cipher game, no surprise. But I'm also running a Shadow Dark game, and they're completely different. And you'd if you were playing in both, you'd probably think, man, is this the same guy who was running my game last week? But I think that for Cipher, really focusing on the story, really focusing on what can I do, because Cipher gives me the tools to do it. So what can I do to make this encounter that much more interesting and exciting? Throw in a surprise, throw in some complications with a GM intrusion, and like I always tell Cipher GMs, let the players worry about the rules, because they're the ones who've got character sheets and stuff in front of them, and you're focused on the story. So I kind of think that, and improv, but improv comes into every game, right? Being able to come up with new stuff off the top of your head or whatnot, and not have everything meticulously prepared. Because the players have so many options, so kind of be ready for anything, and not that we're going to ask, we're not asking a lot of our GMs, just to be prepared for anything.
yeah, why not? But at least you don't force us to roll dice. That was the one worry I had when you guys announced the new Cipher. I said it in last week's stream, but I was like, I hope to God that they're not going to make us roll dice.
No, so much about GMing Cipher is not changing. It's really almost all on the player side, the stuff that's changing.
Absolutely. 7-Minute GM asks, MCG is a geographically distributed company. What are the advantages or disadvantages of having that structure?
Well, advantages are, it's a huge perk for all of our employees to just be able to live wherever they want, right? Like, people are, get to live near their family if they want to live, or if they just really like a particular area or whatever. We find that doesn't, we meet like this online and have these kind of discussions all the time, every day, and that's the way we do all of our meetings, and that doesn't really seem to be too much of a problem. The challenges, the disadvantages are, we don't get to be in the same room together very often, and there's a certain kind of special, I'm gonna be touchy-feely here. And there's a certain kind of special magic that comes from being in the same room with other creative people and getting your own creative juices rolling and all of that kind of stuff. I have the advantage of living relatively close to Bruce Cordell and Sean Reynolds and Shauna, and so we can still meet in person and have games and whatnot, and that's how we do our playtesting. We just did that Monday night. Ran a game of the new Cipher using science fiction, kind of a space opera, kind of Star Wars-y sort of thing. So that's, I would miss that if that was not the case.
Shauna the other day on Blue Sky actually posted a play-by-play of one of your play tests, like a walkthrough play. That was awesome.
Yeah, so we had in one of our solutions to being such a distributed company is that once a year we all get together and we call it our MCG Summit. This year was weird because we couldn't quite make it all happen and bring everybody together, and so we had our summit online. But it was still great. We still played a lot of games, and let's see, which game was she talking about? I guess we were playing a sort of a dungeon fantasy game.
Fantasy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I know Bruce mentioned on Blue Sky that he was going to do one as well after he saw Shauna's.
Yeah, I played that too. That was a supers game. Yeah.
Dissonant Single asks, you've had your hand in the creation of so many worlds and settings. Which one would like to have the chance to spend one day in?
Oh, wow. Well, a lot of caveats there, but I guess
a lot of dangerous worlds you created.
Exactly. My initial go-to was going to be Numenera, but I mean, it totally depends on where in the myth world you're talking about. But actually, I might choose Invisible Sun. I might choose the Actuality and just kind of walk around Fartown and just look at all the weirdness.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. My mind immediately went to, man, I wouldn't survive in like 90% of these worlds. I'll be dead.
Me too, right? Just be toast.
Robert Bobert asks, given that each of the white books have unique foci in them, will the Cipher reworking have foci that you'll be revamping for these from the genre supplements and including them in the new Cipher?
Some of them get included, and I don't know what form this will take, but we'll definitely give some guidelines for taking a focus that isn't in Cipher and kind of converting it, because it's not that hard. But I'll also say potentially, there'll be some fun news regarding that too coming up, probably. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. We're definitely getting predation. I'll bet the house on that one. Seraphis asks, you guys created Cipher as the system you wanted to play. How do you feel about people running raw, or how do you feel about people taking your system and into different directions?
Oh, I'm always in support of people playing the game they want to play. And if you really just want to change things, change one thing, change everything, go for it, right? Whatever is fun for your group. Cipher grew out of the idea of it really sort of being a toolbox to mess around with. That certainly isn't going to go away. In fact, the GM's guide is going to be full of ideas for changing the rules, but the thing is that like when you change rules, you have to realize that there's going to be an effect. It's what's it going to change, and sometimes those things aren't obvious. So hopefully, what we'll accomplish with the GM guide is, well, okay, you can do this, but it's going to have this effect on your game. You can do that, but it's going to change things. And I'm a big fan of options.
Awesome. Talis asks, what is the process MCG uses for working on a project, especially with regards to writing? When the world is the baby of one team designer, how do you navigate tone and word choice from the perspective of someone else's world?
That's a good question. I think that we're such a creator-driven company that sort of without even having like hard and fast rules or anything like that, everyone sort of defaults to the person who initially created it. So like if I was going to do something with Old Gods of Appalachia, I would absolutely talk to Shauna, run things by her, and then I would spend a lot of time rereading a lot of that material and getting that voice, because she has really mastered the voice of that particular setting. And conversely, if someone's going to be doing something for Numenera or Invisible Sun or whatever, they're probably going to do something similar with me. Although at this point, like Numenera, yes, I originally created the setting, but like Sean and Bruce and to some extent Shauna have all done so much work on like the Ninth World and everything that it almost feels like a joint creation.
Yeah, I mean, that told me Numenera was my gateway into Cipher system, and I'm pretty sure it's the majority of others. Such a fantastic setting. James A.U. asks, are there any other novels waiting to be written in the Monte Cook Games universe?
Maybe. Never say never. We don't have, I'll just be frank, we don't have anything like that planned right now. It's such a tricky place. And right now, publishing in general, fiction publishing right now is just sort of in chaos. And so it's a difficult place to navigate, even if you know what you're doing. And I'm not entirely sure that MCG 100% knows what it's doing when we try to, publish and sell a novel. So, it's not that it's not for a lack of ideas, but it's, we kind of know what our wheelhouse is, which is obviously role-playing games, and we'll probably stick there for the most part.
Awesome. Horrorcore asks, could you talk more about the Divination deck and how do you see it working? What are some examples of using it on the fly?
So the quickest way to explain what the Divination deck is it's like all the not all, but most of the decks that we've done, the asset deck, the GM intrusion deck, the creature deck, all those things, it's like all of those things sort of melded into one, because you'll draw a card and you can use it, you can use it in the game, right? You can say, okay, you're at a fortune teller's thing, or you're talking to a diviner of some kind and they're drawing a card and they get this card. But it also it comes with a little booklet of all the different game meanings. So one particular card has a creature associated with it, an NPC associated with it, a GM intrusion associated with it, a cipher, all these different things. And so whatever you need, you can just open up the booklet. You can draw a card and open up the booklet and say, okay, I need a cipher. Okay, a manifest cipher. Okay, I now I know what it is because it says right here. Or oh no, I need weather, right? And you draw a card and you get a unique type of weather. So it's basically something that you can use literally in game, that people can talk about it being in game, but also as a GM tool, and it's got a million uses.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Raphael C asks, are your guys totally finished with mechanical changes on the new Cipher, or are you still playtesting stuff that you haven't announced?
We are still playtesting it. The player's guide is written. It's about to go into editing, but the nice thing about the process is that does not mean that playtesting is done. We can playtest well into editing and still make changes. So it's still evolving, but I don't think any of the big sweeping changes are going to happen. It's all like the little things, tweaks here and there.
That makes total sense. Christian asks, over the decades so far, RPGs have had a range of influences, changes, revolutions, and refinements. Video games, onlines, AI, GM, solo games, etc. What is the thing that hasn't changed for you? And what is something that spun the genre to a surprising new direction?
So the thing that hasn't changed for me is the two things. One is just the joy of creativity and imagine, being a GM and thinking up, what's this NPC going to do now that the players just did this crazy thing, and how are they going to react, and what would be a cool creature that could be involved in some other thing, or that the creative aspect of being a GM, whether I'm running the game in person, online, whatever, right? And the other thing that hasn't changed is that the main draw for playing RPGs for me is still getting together with my friends and eating snacks and talking about dragons or spaceships or whatever, and cracking a few jokes and that kind of stuff. It's still just the social fun of it all is what draws me, and that none of those things that you mentioned will seem to have affected that in any way, and thank goodness. Yeah.
Whether you're 12 or 50, it doesn't matter. You're still going to go through the same routine. Your friends are going to get together. Maybe the beverages will change a little bit, but other than that.
True enough. You get a lot less Jolt Cola.
Starheart Dragon asks, are there any other genre books, aka white books, planned for the new Cipher? There are so many genres or subgenres not yet covered in Cipher that I would love to see.
Without going into any specifics, the answer to the question is yes. Mm-hmm. We don't want to just, with Cipher, I'm no stranger to working on a new edition of a game, and there's the temptation, I suppose, or the assumption that you're just going to then produce all the new versions of all the same old stuff. And While we might do some of that, we also have lots of interesting and exciting ideas for brand new stuff, and that includes exploring more genres and maybe new worlds, maybe new licenses.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Oh, you are having the hype train speculation. The speculation train is like really zooming down the track now. Jason C asks, was the focus scarred by psychic war from the plenty of character options inspired by a Blue Oyster Cult song?
Of course it was. Absolutely.
That's a simple enough answer. Agrippa the Platypus asks, hi, I was wondering what plans about the Cipher SRD for second. Do you have any plans for the new Cipher SRD? And are there going to be any changes to the current Cipher system open license?
I mean, there will be an SRD and an open license in the same. I mean, obviously, the legal and technical aspects of it has to change, but the spirit of it all is going to be exactly the same.
Alpha Dean asks, where do all your cool ideas come from?
Unfortunately, here's the sad thing. Most of them come when I am not in a position to take notes or anything. It's often when I'm driving or whatever, right? That just ideas come to me. And so I'm always scrambling, still trying to find a good app on my phone, like a voice app that I can just dictate into my phone. Not been very happy with all of that, but the ideas just come from everywhere. Whether I read a lot, watch a lot of movies, and TV as well, I guess, and all of that is very inspiring. But most of my ideas just come from, I don't know, driving down the road and seeing something weird and just thinking, well, what if it was a little bit weirder?
That works. Justin M asks, do you have a favorite novel and favorite musical album?
Wow. I always struggle with favorite questions because I'm not joking. I can answer those questions today, but is it going to be the same as the answer I'm going to give you tomorrow? Probably not. I'm going to say Elric. I'm going to say that the Elric books. I know that's kind of a cheat because there's more than one, but especially my mind always goes to Sailor on the Seas of Fate, but very, very formative. And God, there's so many answers to that question. And then the other one was music album. That's really hard too. My music tastes are just all over the board. I used to be a huge prog rock guy, and then I was very into a lot of electronic and experimental music. Yeah, I don't know. It's too hard to narrow that one down.
Music is the same way. Depends on the mood you're in as well.
For sure, right? For sure.
Joel F asks, the stretch goals for the campaign include Revamp, a strange setting book, and soon to be a Revamp predation book. While there's certainly a wealth of older Cipher system content that can be converted, what % of future products do you expect to be entirely new, and what % are revamped content?
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. I think that there's a few things that we want to revamp because we love them, but for the most part, we're a company that loves to do new stuff, loves to create new things, new settings and whatnot. And so, and like I said, we are a creativity driven company. We're a design driven company. Lots of companies, and it's fine. This isn't a criticism, right? But are driven by, what the sales team thinks will sell, or what the marketing person says will go. But we're a company that's driven by, well, what do we want to do, right? I'm constantly turning to my people and saying, hey, Sean, what do you want to do? And we'll come up with a book or supplement or whatever based on that. So, very rarely when you say that to a creative person, do they say, well, I'd like to redo this, right? Instead, they've got, 10 new ideas. So, I don't know. I can't break it down in percentages, but I'm going to say going forward, most of the stuff, particularly once we kind of get through this crowdfunder and maybe a little bit farther into the future, we're going to be doing all kinds of fun new stuff.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. Canuck asks, I found in my own writings, it's hard for me to 100% focus on one project at a time without burning out on that project. It's more like 80% focus on a major project, 10% on 2 other side projects to keep my brain cells rubbing together. Do you go through anything like this as well, or are you able just to hyper focus on one project at a time? So
it used to be that when people ask me a question like that way back when, before MCG, I mean, I would always say, yeah, I try to keep 2 things going at once so that if I'm getting bored with one, I can switch over to the other one. And then, when I'm tired of working on that, I can switch back. And that's always really worked well for me. But now, in my current position, like, that isn't even an option to not do it that way, right? Because, not only am I a designer, but I'm also creative director. And what that means is, everything that MCG works on, I'm involved with it. And so it is, it's really almost problematic in that, like, I'm doing one thing and I'm trying to get that done. And then, I need to switch over to, this thing and whatnot. I was working on Magnus Archives adventures for the products that we crowdfunded in the Tangled in the Web one. And, I had to switch between that and working on Cipher, and then back again, and then back again. And plus, we've got, Old Gods stuff coming out, and I've got to, look at all of that and keep my, finger in that pie. And it's kind of crazy sometimes.
You don't have that option.
Darkest Woods, and what's really crazy is that, like, many of these things all have their own separate set of mechanics, right? Darkest Woods has its own, and then anything that's Cipher related, and then, Magnus Archives has slightly different rules than Cipher, and, it's crazy.
Yeah, you just don't even have that option to focus on one thing. No, that is not a luxury. That is not a luxury in your toolbox.
Nope.
Starheart Dragon asks, if you could give your younger self any advice about the tabletop industry, what would it be?
Ooh. It would be, don't be afraid to try new crazy things. For the longest time, even though I was I feel like I was doing a lot of innovative stuff. I was always thinking, you know, I was always comparing it to things that had come before, and then certain products would come out from other designers, and I would be like, wait a minute, you can do that? You could do that with an RPG? That's allowed? And I had to learn. I had to learn early on that really you could do whatever, and it's all open ended. But I wish that I would have learned that even sooner.
He also asked if you could revisit a setting, a book from your past. Doesn't have to be a Monte Cook Games product. What would it be and why?
If it's something that I worked on and I'm revisiting it, it would my choice would be the second thing that I ever worked on, which was this setting for Rollmaster and Space Master called Dark Space. I would love to go back to that. It was a weird setting that like meshed sci-fi and fantasy, but there were also Lovecraftian horrors and weird biotechnology, and it was really cool. But when I go back and look at it now, I kind of wince a little bit. It's a little rough around the edges, and I could do much better justice now. I hope.
Oh, that's awesome. Al asks if you could create a wacky baseball RPG or any sports RPG, what would you do to tackle it first?
Wow. So I'm not a sports guy. I'll just be real honest. So it might be baseball, right? Baseball is an interesting interesting sport because it's got moments of excitement filled with stuff in them, lots of stuff in the downtime in the middle. And so, you could do some cool things where you've got, some exciting moments, and then you've got like stuff where, that's less action, but more sort of, subtle interactions and whatnot in between, and then action, and then, right. And I don't know, that'd be kind of interesting.
Are there any sports related RPG tabletop games? I can't really think of any off the top of my head. I know Steven Jackson probably. Yeah. Oh yeah, the wrestling one.
But yeah, I can't think. I mean, it probably has, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, the answer is probably, but I can't think of one.
I mean, that just sounds like something that like Steven Jackson would do, like, the Car Wars guys, or maybe. But yeah, I can't think of one either. Wonder Wolf asks, is it true that you and Sean will be appearing in the upcoming Gamers movie?
I am. I have a couple of scenes, sort of reprising the cameo character that I had in the Gamers movie, The Darkness Rising. Sean was supposed to be in it, but I think because of some conflicts and stuff, he ended up not being. So.
Ethan asks, if you could fully produce a tabletop RPG that was just a pure passion project without having to worry about turning a profit or dealing with any socials, what would it be?
It sounds like a cop-out, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Invisible
That's
Sun?
what I do. That's what Numenera was. That's what Invisible Sun was. That's what Cipher is. That they're all my passion projects. They're all dream projects, and I don't feel hampered by any external forces other than my own desire to create a fun, cool game.
Sunday Night Lights asks, where was the initial idea for the many decks that MCG produces?
So to be honest, when we did the original Numenera Kickstarter way back when, that Kickstarter was going crazy, and we were constantly struggling for stretch goal ideas and whatnot. And it wasn't until mid crowdfunding campaign that we were like, well, what if we did a deck of all the ciphers and we put them on cards and whatnot, and give that a try. And once we started using it, we realized, oh, this is actually a really good idea. And so all of the ideas for the various decks that we've come out with have arisen out of once that idea of, oh, you could have a deck right here next to you as a GM and have that as a reference and randomizer and all of that stuff, and you could hand the card to the player and they would have the information. Once we kind of came upon that, then just the different ideas for the different decks have just kind of come from everywhere, and all of it being somebody who was running a game on the team saying, you know what, I'd love to have a deck that did this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think the whole deck structure and the whole concept of being able to, I'm a seat of your pants GM, so any tool that helps me, get a game going as quick as possible, those are always my favorite. Red River RPG. We only got a couple questions left. I think we're gonna finish this. Red River RPG asks, will we ever see any additional Talis content, and will Talis ever be included in the SRD?
So I don't know the answer to the second one. I know that issue is complicated because it is both a Monte Cook Games project and a Malhavik Press project, and so that shouldn't seem, it doesn't seem like that would make it weird, but it does make it weird actually. But will we see more Talis content? Probably. Nothing. Nothing is planned right now, but I would say it's somewhat likely that there would be some in the future, just because Sean just finished up a Talis game not very long ago, so it's still very active in our circles.
It's also very popular on our server.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Starheart Dragon asks, I know that the Indigo Sun crowdfunding project still has some books that have to come out, but will we still see any more Invisible Sun projects down the pipe?
Yes.
I love
Invisible Sun. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. It brings me joy to run the game. I'm running the game right now. I think earlier in this conversation I said I was running 2 games. I'm actually running 3 games because I'm also running Invisible Sun. It brings me a lot of joy to run that game. And so, forever, even well before MCG, the stuff that I work on almost always comes out of the games that I'm actually running. And so, as long as I keep running Numenera, there's going to be probably new Numenera stuff. And as long as I keep running Invisible Sun, there's probably going to be new Invisible Sun, because it just percolates up.
You get all new ideas.
Yeah.
We got 2 questions left, Monte. We're going to finish this. The next to last question is, would you guys ever consider doing an open playtest? Mateo T asked the question, by the way.
So we have experimented with that in the past, and our results have been really mixed, just to be really frank. It's difficult to manage because you get a ton of different feedback from different people, and so then not only does someone have to sift through it all, but like bring it all together into some kind of coherent form, right? Like if 20 groups are loving a certain thing, but you're still hearing from 8 others that are not loving that thing, and figuring out how does that all, what does that really mean, and then playtesting is an interesting thing. We got a lot of playtesting going on right now, obviously, for Cipher. And one early on in my career, one of the best bits of advice that I got is, when you get playtest feedback, and it doesn't matter from who, right? Anybody, like, listen to it and pay attention to the issues that people are finding, and ignore the suggested changes, the suggested solutions. And it's just because only the designers kind of have the big picture involved. Like, if somebody says, oh, you should change this mechanic because it didn't work in my game, and what you should do is make it so that you roll 3d6 or whatever, and you're just like, okay, that doesn't help because you don't understand how this other thing works. But the need for the change is what's really important there. People are good at finding issues, and not so great at finding solutions. And it, like I said, it doesn't even matter. Like, if it's even professional game designers who give feedback, because they'll only be solving the one problem they found when there's actually a whole big system with lots of moving parts, and if you change that, then it's going to affect that.
That sounds like me to a T. I do like project management in IRL, and I always tell like employees, hey, I know there's something wrong here. I don't know the solution, but find the solution for me, because there's something wrong here.
That would be perfect playtesting feedback, right? Like, it's not working. We're not happy with this. Fix it is fantastic. And it's just a lot of work to be working with a lot of playtesters that you don't know anything really about them. You don't know what their play style is, and it's just a big challenge. So I'm not going to say no, we're never going to do that, but I'm just like, it's just a lot of work. So I'm the absolute number one proponent of playtesting, but it's got to be managed in a very specific way.
Do you guys, this is not one of the questions, but it just made me wonder, do you guys go into it saying, hey, we're going to play test for a certain amount of a time period? Or do you know when, okay, I think I got the general idea that this is working or this isn't working?
It's very much sort of a gut feeling and intuition. When something's working, you're like, okay, we got it. This is working. We don't need to test anymore. Or that, even that's kind of a false statement, though, because like let's say, with Cipher, right, we come up with the new wound system, and we very specifically are playtesting that, and we got to that point where we're happy with it, and we're going to keep playing and be focusing on other things. But the wound system is still there, so it keeps getting tested. And so, in a way, actually, the very existence of the new Cipher proves that you never really stop playtesting, right? Because a lot of it has, a lot of Cipher has come up out of the games that we've been running of original Cipher system, and this is just sort of the latest iteration.
Yeah, I mean, the wound system, I think, is the one thing that is I wouldn't say divisive, but it creates the most discussion on the server. And I think that's the one thing that most people are curious to see exactly how it's going to work at the table. I was a little skeptical when I first heard it, to be honest. But the more I've seen everything that's come out, I'm like, oh, okay, I get this. This is definitely going to work. I'm just excited to get it to play.
So let me pull back a curtain and tell you a little secret. So obviously in original Cypher, if you took damage, it basically went to your, it took away from your might pool. You could damage your other stats, but primarily, you know, if somebody hits you with a sword, shoots you with a gun, it's coming out of your might pool. Now you take a wound, but most of the time when you are dealing with that wound, what you do is you take points from your might pool and you spend them to get rid of the wound. So in effect, it's not hardly changed at all. Your might pool is still what is sort of dictating how much damage you take. It's just expressed in a different way. And more importantly, it's given you an option, because like if wounds have, if you're hindered because you've got a bunch of wounds or a particularly bad wound, now you've got the option of, now I can spend my might points and get rid of that, or I can live with it and keep my might points because I need my might points to activate these abilities or whatever. It just, it's more, it gives the player more power to make those choices. But it's not, it's in play, it's just not as drastic a change as I think everyone is guessing it is.
Yeah, I think when we first heard, you know, I think the, you know, like the core Cypher fan, the resource management is what was the allure for the core Cypher fan. And it was the assumption that, we're kind of losing some of that resource management. But when you look at it deeper, it's exactly what you said. Not only are we not losing the resource management, we're actually getting more decisions as a player. So
that is 100%.
Yeah.
Yep, that's 100% correct.
Yeah, you know, I'm old. It took me a little while to get there, but I got there.
Well, I'm sure it's gonna. I mean, it'll take a lot of people a lot of time, and that's okay. You know, the other thing that I love about the wound system is, you know, been working a lot in Cypher to try to replicate the different genre tropes more accurately, and wounds has opened up a door where we can, you know, if you're playing you know, a diehard like game, right, where you're you know you're a regular guy, but you can, you know, you can fall 3 stories and swear and get up and dust yourself off and keep going, you know, that's a very different wound system than something where you know, it's much more realistic, and you know, it's sort of like a you know, Call of Cthulhu style horror game where, you know, your aging professor can't take, you know, more than a single punch before he goes down, and the wounds allow us, you know, you can have more or less wounds, the capability of taking them. We can change how fast you can recover from them, and that can just reflect genre in so many interesting ways.
Yeah, it just makes genre hopping so much easier and so flexible. You know, me and Dean were talking on stream a couple of weeks ago about how we can literally create any supers game now with the wound system, because it dramatically changes. Hey, we're doing Paragon Heroes. Your wound level is exactly what you just related. It's going to change to this, and it's going to make it. And you know how some people need to be told from the creator, hey, this is what you do, as opposed to a GM saying, hey, I'm running it my way. You know, right. I'm doing this. Now the book is going to say, hey, if you're doing this, you can increase the wounds, or if you're running horror, you can lower the wounds. And exactly. it's going to make it a lot easier for a GM as well.
I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the goal.
The last question, and we made it.
All right, let's do it.
Mike M asks, will any of the genre-specific descriptors or foci from the various white books be brought over to the new Cipher book? If not, would they still be compatible with the new rules?
Descriptors, pretty much straight up. I mean, descriptors work a little bit differently in Cipher, but not so much that you'd really even notice if you just pulled in an old one. And then a focus. The thing about focus is in Cipher, you've got, it's a lot easier to like Cipher system foci are just kind of, if you imagine it, it's just like a straight line, right? You get to tier 1 and then you get to the tier 2 and you get to tier 3. And Cipher focuses, you can kind of you can create your own path through a much larger number of abilities, right? So you can take a tier 1 ability and then a tier 2 ability and then, there was this other tier 1 ability that I liked. I'm going to go back to that. And, you can kind of plot your own course a little bit more. And so if you were going to take a Cipher System 1 focus, basically you could use it just as is, right? The abilities are all going to work and it's all going to be whatever, right? But it would also give you the opportunity to maybe make up a couple of new abilities of your own and create more options for the player.
And it's actually a fun exercise. It was like, hey, I like this focus. Okay, let's look at 2 focuses and maybe we could combine them to make that skill tree for you.
Absolutely. We did that a little bit in some of the new foci. Where we really took 2 and kind of mushed them together. That were 2 that were so similar.
Yeah,
it just gave us a greater wealth of abilities.
Monte, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy working on Cipher and a million other projects. For you to take the time out for the community, it means so much to us, to the CU, and to everybody following here.
Super happy to do it. It's fun to talk about.
Guys, thank you so much. And once again, Cipher's live on the backer kit right now. There's only 8 days left, and we want to get Predation. And Monte just dropped a couple of jewels that makes us want to have even more stretch goals. So head on over there and back it. Any final words you want to say about Cipher Project or anything MCG related in general that you like our audience to know?
If you ever wanted to, if you're not familiar with Cipher and you ever wanted to give it a try, Cipher is, this new Cipher edition is going to be a great place to do it. And, this is everybody's opportunity to sort of get in on the ground floor, so to speak. So good time to jump in.
Yeah. And could have said it better myself. And of course, it's the man, the myth, the legend himself, Monte Cooks, on my Mount Rushmore. And you have to come back and tell us the 4th person on your Mount Rushmore.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll come with
before Ken Hub takes us out, because Al had Power Gremlins. I just want to say, if you like us and you like what we do, join the Cipher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monte Cook games. We have the largest fan-run Discord server for everything MCG, but if Discord's not for you, join our Facebook group. Not as big as our Discord, but still great conversations being had there daily. If you find it a kindness to your heart, you can like, share, and subscribe Ken Hub's channel or our channel on YouTube, on Twitch, and on the Anywhere door on Moonbeam. Both of our channels are trying to build up our platforms as much as we can, so any help in any area for the both of us, you could give us a greatly appreciated. Our videos are always free, but if you want to support us financially in any way, you could give us a little donation on Ko-fi or go to our online store and pick up some cool Cipher Unlimited merch. like the I don't have any Cipher Unlimited merch on, but we do have CypherCon shirts available right now. So yeah, go get your CypherCon stuff. And I think I got everything. Oh, CypherCon is live and running right now. So we got games going on. And the raffle starts tomorrow, but the gift bag will be available to anyone on the server. So MCG was gracious enough to give us raffle items and gift bag items. So go pick up that stuff. Last but not least, we love you guys.
All right, let me just reiterate some points to slam home with some info. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Monte. I'd love for all of you to give a follow or subscribe, depending which platform you're on. But don't forget to check out Cipher Unlimited channel as well. CypherCon is starting with plenty of raffles, games, and other stuff. And return here to my channels at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time today for our CypherCon live streamed game, Revenge of the Space Nerds 2. Very important. The Cipher backer kit is going strong and slamming through those stretch goals. So now is the time to hop on to unlock as many stretch goals as we can. Let's take Monte Cook games for all they're worth. Thank you for everyone for all your questions. I know there were some in the chat we didn't have time to get to, as well as some more in the AMA forum. We didn't have time, unfortunately, but feel free to ask them on the Discord. Maybe we can get some discussion going on there, so don't feel bad. Now, we've kept Monte Cook here long enough, so on behalf of the CU, we will see you later.